Nintendo Switch 2 just came out, and with it a new Mario Kart, and alongside this Mario Kart we got a whole host of new characters and a lot of really random characters, I must say. A lot of obscure picks that Nintendo themselves called NPC Drivers or Obstacle Drivers, pulled from existing assets they already were going to use for the game, chuck them into a kart. And that's a pretty interesting way of doing things, but they didn't go the whole way. There are still quite a few characters in the game that they have yet to put in a kart, and I think that's a shame. So I thought it'd be quite fun to just speculate and give some ideas on the characters that I want to see in Mario Kart, but I didn't want to do this alone. So with me I have my good friend Toondris to share their thoughts as well.
Yeah, I mean, because Mario Kart's like the only thing I've been talking about lately at this point. So of course.
Of course, absolutely understandable. And you made that really good video before Mario Kart came. Or was it just after Mario Kart came? Time is a complete all over the place.
It was like days before it came out. I was really busy with a lot of things, but I had to make sure to get that video about how there could be more characters.
Yeah.
I think I got it out like 3 days before release, and right when it came out, we found nope. Despite like all the logic being there behind that video, nope.
Nope. That's it for this. So I do think though that through updates and stuff there will be new characters. Like we've already got hints that there should be more costumes. Pauline had that one costume missing in her concept art, the touring one. That's just not in the game. And I think it's suspicious that she and Donkey Kong don't have more than one costume, and they have a game coming out soon together.
Yeah, especially when you look at like some other characters, like who has touring outfits versus who's missing a touring outfit, or like a bunch of the babies, like Baby Mario and Baby Luigi having a completely different set of costumes compared to the baby princesses. It kind of feels like there's gaps left there for updates to kind of unify everything. Maybe not give everyone the same exact amount as Mario at 10, but like the fact that Mario's the only one with 10 total, and like everyone else, the closest they get is like 9. That's still room for them to get like 1. Yeah, for example, like they can still get something for them.
Yeah, it's still really strange to me that Black Yoshi is just not in the game. Like
despite there being a Yoshi's restaurant.
Yeah,
that's a Black Yoshi.
It's Black Yoshi. It's the only color not there. The only one. It screams like we'll do a Yoshi's Island update with a Black Yoshi and Baby Mario costumes at some point.
Or something.
Yeah. But I think, like, whether it's paid or whether it's free, who knows? But I do think new drivers are definitely going to happen. And if they've already done the obstacle drivers, sure, we could get stuff like Diddy Kong. We could get... Well, we're not going to get RPG characters like Gino, but maybe we could get RPG characters like Gino. But I think the obstacle characters are perfectly fair game because they've already got all the assets there. All they've got to do is make the trick animations, and bing, bang, boom, you're done. So that's what we're going to talk about, and we've got 5 each that we're going to suggest in a little round robin. We're going to explain the character, why we want them in the game, why they'd be cool, and I mean that's really about it, right? We don't need anything else to... More justification. So, as my guest on this, Tris, I'll let you go first. Who is a character who already appears in Mario Kart World as a background character or an enemy or something that you want to see in the game in the future?
I'll start with the most obvious one, the one I call out in my video, the one that's part of my literal logo, Luma's. It's so jarring to me that Pianta's and I love Pianta, like absolutely one of my mains, but Piantas aren't even obstacles. They're like specifically spectators, and they're the only playable NPC driver that's a spectator. But there's Lumas around Starview Peak and Rainbow Road, so like they're also NPCs. I wonder why Piantas were chosen, where they're kind of the least, some of the least common ones.
Yeah.
Lumas are probably about as common as the Piantas in terms of how many appear and where they appear. But it really makes me wonder what the choice behind that was. Like, why only Pianta? So, Lumas are one that I really want to see. Even aside from personal bias, they've been playable in, like, Mario Tennis multiple times. So they clearly have an interest in making Lumas playable in something.
Yeah.
They've done it.
They've done it before. Yeah, and Lumas are really popular. I mean, you saw a Luma in the Mario Brothers movie. You didn't see a Pianta in the Mario Brothers movie.
Exactly. Like, that's why it's so weird to me. Like, the thing I called out in that video really was, like, I really want to know what the thought process behind this was. Like, why Pianta and Cataquack are ones that are chosen and shown off over, like, Spinies, Luma, etc. Like, characters that are very prominent, very seen and around in the movie, etc.
With all the double dash tracks in this game, I almost wonder if there's like a GameCube bias. Like they're like, oh, we want the sunshine stuff in there.
They want you to play it when it comes to GameCube classics, Nintendo classics on the Switch too.
That's it. Synergy. That's it. You got to wait for Mario Galaxy 2 to come to the Switch, and then we'll get Luma. Okay. So my first pick is an obscure one, but it's a Toku Toku from Desert Hills, because it's the first time the enemy has been in 3D. It's just the Maui head with the cool shades running around like that, running through Desert Hills, which they decided
I need to know. I've got the Batadon on my list. We could just group them together.
Yeah, push them together as the same. Yeah, because they brought them back for the first time ever since Super Mario Land. Clearly as a part of some sort of big push to have this desert land be Daisy's kingdom.
Or like, something along those lines.
Something like that. And if you're going to go all the way of bringing them back, just go over the final step and make them playable. Like,
especially since, like, the role they fill in the world, they have other Mario enemies that can do those things. You have Thwomps, you have Grolls, you have all these things that have been in other Mario games, but they opted to choose those ones to come back. And unlike many of the other NPC drivers, these ones actually have arms.
That's true. I said a statistical advantage they've got over the others. They can hold on to the thing. I think they're a funny ship. Japan really likes the Maui statue as just an iconography, and I think having that in the car and being able to do cool poses, the shades, flip them up like that, like you could in the Mario Odyssey Maui, do a little pose like that as you jump. I think there's so many cool things you could do with it, and I mean it is really partly because it's just a really obscure and random pick to have. I just want it. You've given me a tease of it, and now give me the full thing.
Yeah, exactly. Why put it in the game if you're not going to make it playable at that point? Like, that's an obscure pick. Give me more.
Exactly.
The next one I have is another classic enemy, but not quite as obscure because over the past decade or so it's been coming back a lot, and that's the Bully. I love the Bully's redesign since 3D World, and I've loved having that enemy back and seeing it around the areas like near Mario Brothers Circuit and all that. I thought for sure it was going to be one of the enemies that also would get picked if they, hadn't shown all of them before.
There were secret ones, yeah.
But no, and I feel like the Bullies are like perfect for it. Like they're basically like built for bumper cars. So
it is true. You got the one car already with the horns on it. Just get double horned up with the Bullies driving it. They are a pretty popular enemy coming from Mario 64, which is an absolute classic of a game. They were introduced there. They have a boss fight with the big bully that you have to fight. Like, they're pretty well known. I think people got really happy when they first came back in their new form in 3D Land or World.
I think it was 3D World, but like it's and then they've kind of been around since. They've been used as like background elements in different games since, and they've not really been forgotten. And then they even have a variant in this game. Yeah,
the Ice Bully, the Chill Bully, and that guy's not been back since Mario 64.
Yeah, I don't. I don't even know why they picked the Chill Bullies to come back at that point. I'm happy they did again because I love the obscure picks. But you're gonna bring the Bully and the Chill Bully here. So variants in that fact, and
Yeah.
you're not even going to do anything with them. Piranha Plants here, playable, but its variants aren't.
Yeah, so are the Hammer
Bully be like that.
Hammer Bros playable and its variants aren't. Pokey is playable and the Snow Pokeys aren't. They've got.
Yep.
There's a pattern going on, so Bully needs to complete that pattern and keep
Easy
going.
way to give them like alternate costumes. Like,
Yeah,
come on.
that's also true. It's a shame Scuttlebug's not in this game because then we could have had the full Mario 64 trifecta.
That's true. The closest you got are like those, like the ones that like skid around on the water. Yeah.
Also from Mario 64 originally, but just not as cool.
That's true.
So my next pick is a classic enemy, a very classic enemy. It's the Spiny.
Yeah.
Lakitu's little spiked dude. I chose him because almost every single enemy that's ever been in Super Mario Brothers has been playable at some point. I believe it's the Spiny, the Fireball, just a generic Fireball, and maybe Buzzy Beetle, who haven't been playable, which is just Spiny without the spikes. I think those are the only three. Everything else from NPC to enemy to playable character, obviously, have all been playable in a Mario game. So I want to finish this off. I want all those legacy mob enemies to be playable at some point. And Spiny is here. Spiny
I mean, there's not like a lot of Spinies I've noticed. There's like a strange like lacking of them. Like they're there, but there's only ever like two like in a group, and they're like really off to the side. But no, I would love to get Spinies in here. Like they're definitely legacy enemies, and especially with Lakitu as a playable character for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
You would think the other character very closely tied to Lakitu, who also recently appeared in the Mario movie.
Yep. And
would be playable.
Lakitu's Cloud is a vehicle as well. It's
That's true.
The missing part of this duo.
I do love the little spiny egg wheels that they gave it this time.
Yes.
I do love that.
Cute. I like Fisherman Lakitu's fishing rod, which has the little spiny on the hook. That's also cute. And you could do stuff with the Kamik as well, because obviously when all these obstacle enemies come in, Kamik is the one bringing them in, and he sometimes puts an obstacle associated with them. You could just drop a bunch of big Spinies on the track and get in the way. Mm-hmm. Easy obstacle to add in.
That's also like a really big question here. Like, what determined these picks where even if you have to unlock them all using the Kamik item, but sometimes Kamik won't even spawn that enemy.
Just
like
spawn them.
Piantas don't get spawned, for example. Most frequently I see when Pianta shows up, it's because Boom Boom gets spawned.
Yeah.
Like it's very weird that Kamik can spawn enemies that aren't also playable enemies, which feels like, I don't know, they ran out of time or something for them. Like, it feels like it was a weird disconnect there.
Yeah, it's just like when you spawn Nabbit and it causes just a bunch of bombs to spawn instead. It's almost like,
I do find that one really funny.
that one is funny, but it is like, what is the association here with Nabbit? Like, did they just think, we can't actually think of anything for Nabbit, so bombs. We're just going to have to do that.
I guess. I don't know. Like, it's weird, honestly, and I think it does give credit to the idea of some sort of like DLC or update to it, but
we'll see.
Round 3, I've got kind of a funny one. I've got the Dragon Eel.
Oh.
like that giant, like
the giant,
imagine like coiled up like 3 rows and like sitting in the car. Like, I just think that'd be hilarious. I think there'd be something really like charming about that. We already have Dolphin floating over all of it.
That's true.
So why not?
I guess that's like, what would they do? Would they have him coiled around the car, or would they have the dragon eel, or the really long dragon eel, just floating above? Like on the motorbike in the same way.
I don't think he would float above. I think he'd kind of be like coiled up in the seat, almost like a snake.
Yeah, that would be pretty fun. I did think about Dragon Eel as well, because just for the gag of how long it is. Give the developers a challenge on some of these.
Yeah, really.
What game is Dragon Eel from originally? Don't remember.
I think New Super Mario Brothers Wii? I don't remember if it's in all the New Super Mario Brothers games. But I'm pretty sure it's an enemy that originated in that series. And has kind of stuck around in various games since.
Yeah, because there's obviously the eel in the original Mario 64, and that's different. That's a scary eel. But then there's also the weird eel in Yoshi's Story, the long white one. I don't remember what that's called.
I don't remember the name for that one, but no, it would be funny to get really obscure ones like that in.
Yes.
Or the terrifying eels in Mario 64 and Odyssey. But
it's a shame
we don't drive
they're not
underwater anymore, so we wouldn't see them.
And we lost our chance to have the moray eel playable. Well, my next pick is going to be another classic enemy, and one that I was really hoping would be playable from the base but wasn't, and that's Thwomp. Just the brick. I just want. Well, as soon as I found out you didn't need arms to drive, my immediate thought was, so we can have Thwomp, right? He's just a brick. People have wanted him playable for ages. The green Thwomp from Mario Kart 64. They want him free.
Especially since like the Thwomp is one of the playable drivers in that like really old Mario Party 8 extra minigame that everyone's been referencing since they announced this game. We saw the NPC drivers. So the Thwomp can drive a bike like 20 years ago, but apparently can't drive in this game.
He's old enough to have his license now, so you got to let him apply. And go ahead and put him in there. And again, it's another one that's an easy Kamik item. You just spawn a bunch of Thwomps that just fall from the sky and you go under them. It's really simple. And
it's really simple,
Yeah. And Thwomp's a well-known enemy as well. It's another classic one. It's obviously we like our obscure picks, but some of them I think need to be ones that people know, and everyone knows Thwomp. They've been in every Mario Kart game since the first one. In fact, they might at this point they might be the only character who was in the first Mario Kart, Super Mario Kart, that's not in this one. If you ignore Donkey Kong Jr.
Wow. Wow, then they definitely need to be.
Exactly.
Next one I've got is kind of interesting, because I think technically, as far as I know, you can't find them in like the free roam.
Okay.
But they are in the game, and that's Kamik. Because how can Kamik finally make his Mario Kart appearance after getting cut from Mario Kart 64? Like 20 years later, finally get playable in a Mario Kart game, and then they take his license away and they relegate him back to being an item.
It's like, we've got a new job to do, thank you. Bye-bye.
Like, that's so upsetting. Like, I thought maybe Kamik would still be playable and then the item is just Kamik's magic. No, the item is just called Kamik.
Yeah, it's just called Kamik. I'm with you on that. Kamik is one of the characters I play as in 8 Deluxe after the DLC came out, because he is a character that I've wanted in the game for the longest time. Ever since I found out he was cut from Mario Kart 64, I've like really wanted him. I was super happy when he got an in tour, and then thrilled to find out he was going to make it into 8. So yeah, to see him,
and they made a big deal out of it.
Yeah, they did. He was like the big showcase for that DLC pack, and then they just got rid of him
for some reason,
giving him a new thing. I too would like Kamik. I think there is no issue in having him be an item and a character at the same time.
Like if you can have any of these NPC drivers, I imagined originally they were worried about, what if this caused confusion for players? Like, they're on the map and they're playable. Well, clearly that's not a concern now. Yeah. So that should also apply for items, presumably. Like, I don't think you're going to get confused thinking you're holding an item behind you if it's the one you're driving, because the whole positions are different. They're not holding it anymore. It drags behind you. It's in a very different spot. So
yeah, and I think with Kamik especially, Kamik is a Magic Cooper, and they are established as like just another band of troops. Like Kamik is a named one; he's the one they always use. But the Magic Coopers, there's loads of them. It's common enemies in several games, so you could always just work around any confusion that there might be by just having it be another Magic Cooper, or just not even bothering to acknowledge it and just having Kamik be both. It's
exactly like it. It feels like a simple decision to make with where we're at now.
Yeah. It's a shame. So, for my next pick, this is a kind of silly one. It's just the idea of it when I saw... when I realised what obstacle picks were, and I was like, this would be funny. I want to see Typhoon as a racer. the big cloud that blows you everywhere. Like,
I think that'd be funny.
Yeah, like just this big long cloud, big puffy cheeks. It's just like it does a trick, it goes like blows as it spins around.
Petey Piranha sized.
Yeah,
like you can't see past them, but they're also like the lightest weight characters because they're made of clouds.
It's just a cloud. I think it would be a really funny addition. It sort of falls into that snowman category of. But why? But why though? The reason is because. That's all I need.
No, exactly. They definitely fit into that similar category, but they're a bit more alive, I guess, than the snowman ever seems to be. Because the snowman never really seems like an actual, like, character outside of, like, the Mr. Blizzards.
Yeah.
But these aren't Mr. Blizzards. These are just snowman.
Are just snowman. That's all they are. These are just a sentient snowman. They made it in, so why not Living Cloud? Because it's at least alive.
Exactly. I mean, you get to capture it in Odyssey as well, so you've even had control over it before.
It's been a power-up before. That should be part of the criteria. Maybe that's part of the looking at it. It's like, has it been usable before? Can we do it?
Last pick for me is kind of similar to Kamik in the sense of I don't know what they're found around the world, but they are in the game still, and that's Blooper.
Okay.
I loved Blooper in Mario Party 8, one of the main characters I play in that Mario Party. I loved getting them in Mario Tennis Aces, and that's like the entire playable streak for Blooper. That's it. And nobody likes the Blooper item.
It's true.
Nobody likes a Blooper item. I don't think you can even find Bloopers like out in the sea or anything around, which is weird. So, but like, give me Blooper as a playable character. Like, make that upgrade from item. You can leave the item in too, that's fine. But let me drive around as a Blooper. Even if, like, in Mario Tennis Aces, he has to sit in a bucket at first or something. Like, that's okay. That's fine. Just let me play as the Blooper.
Yeah, I mean, Piranha Plant made the jump from item to playable character this time around. Like,
exactly.
Because that's Bomb, Bullet Bill, and Blooper's problem. They're items. They're relegated to that. And so it's... I don't even think Blooper comes up in consideration because they're immediately like, oh yeah, item, easy. But now that we can have all of these, it doesn't really matter. It's already in the environment, let's do it. I think this is the chance that Blooper should have to be playable. It should at least get it at some point. Like,
ideally, I mean, Blooper's also, like, when... I also had this in like my big Mario Kart analysis like a couple months back of most of these NPC drivers, like most of these newcomers, were Mii costumes for Mario Kart Tour.
True.
Like a whole like Fishbone, for example.
Was a Mii costume.
It's such strange picks that ended up reflecting a lot of the new playable characters, and like the only ones that reflect characters that are in the Mario series that are not playable in 8 Tour or World are Blooper and Chain Chomp.
Ugh.
So
Chain Chomp,
let the two of them make that upgrade.
Yeah. Chain Chomp would be
Blooper.
another good pick. He's not my 5th pick, but Chain Chomp would have also been a good one. But what is my 5th pick, my final pick? So ever since Double Dash, every console Mario Kart game has introduced an original character. Like, you had Toadette in Double Dash, you had Baby Daisy in Wii, then you had Baby Rosalina and Pink Gold Peach in Mario Kart 8, and then Deluxe is just a port of 8, so it doesn't have one. And there isn't one on the roster this time, but there is an original enemy in the game, and that is Robo Donkey Kong on the spaceport level. They introduced big robot Donkey Kong to replicate the original Donkey Kong's mechanics of throwing barrels at you and jumping around. And I think it's a really cool robot design. And I don't think there's any issue with shrinking it down, putting it in a cart, and then still having the big one there to be an obstacle as well. Like we established the obstacles and having races at the same time, doesn't matter. And it's a robot, so you can't even make the argument, oh, there's only one of them. Because no.
Yeah.
It's a robot.
No, exactly. Especially since, like, past games, you had, like, Metal Mario, Pink Gold Peach, Dry Bowser. Like, we've had things like this that are, like, clones of, you know, the same characters. Robo DK is not. So that should be even easier for them to do. And now I'm just picturing Robo DK on the Rob bike. which I feel like would just be like someone's
combo.
meta. It may not be meta like stats wise, but you're gonna see someone set records in that if they could do it.
Someone is gonna do it. All robots, full mecha. No, when I saw the Robo DK design in game, I was like, that'd be actually really cool as a playable character. I'd actually really like to see that, because the arcade games had Robo Mario, I think, as a original character in them.
Not playable though, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Like only as a rival, which is I would say it's frustrating, but it's the arcade games in the first place, so that's kind of whatever. But
yeah, but we got Robo DK now, and I'm also thinking of Arms, right? Remember, Arms also made by the same team. They had Spring Man, and then they introduced Springtron as part of the DLC robot version. They've done it again. They could do it again with Robo DK, and they should.
But given like how many characters we're already able to name it, we keep even suggesting other characters that aren't in our top 5 picks, but they're other characters. It does feel like they'd be able to easily be like, hey, here's a free update, here's 10 more.
Yeah, I think
something like that, like 2 or even 3 times.
Yeah, and I'd like to think that they're gonna do a free update rollout, kind of like Arms got and Splatoon gets, where like every couple months they'll give us an update that comes with maybe 1 or 2 costumes or 1 or 2 obstacle characters added into the game. I think if new tracks and characters like Diddy Kong, where they require entirely new models and stuff, I think those would probably be paid for in like special setups. Agree. But free updates, fine. They could even do stuff like Mario Golf did, where they have tournaments, and if you win in the ranked tournaments, you got a costume. You could take the same idea of that, or from even Mario Kart Tour, where if you do well in the rankings, you get a character or costume, and introduce new costumes that way as a way to incentivize people to play online and keep playing the game more and more. I just think there's so many opportunities to bring more characters in that I think they will do it, and I'm hoping when they do, one of the 10 we mentioned will be in that set.
Let's hope for all 10.
All 10, let's do it. Let's aim big.
I mean, we are like specifically limiting it to characters that are already in the game after all. So they are more likely than the ones that aren't. I think.
It's right.
we'll have to see, of course. But there's so much like. Logically, it makes so much sense for them to do the free updates because of how well Mario Kart has already been proving to do, but also like the precedent set for Mario Kart 8 and how well that did. You have to imagine they came up with a similar like plan for support for this game to do well with it, and maybe that's why the character picks feel so weird, because they didn't actually choose between them like that. What they chose was just who's in the base roster.
Yeah.
Who gets in first.
They programmed all of them in, and then they just decided to pick a nice variety of ones to start off with.
Or at least those are all the ones that could get done by like their cutoff date.
Fingers crossed. Well, thank you, Tris, for joining me for this conversation. When you let the good people watching know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube and Twitch and socials at Toontris.
Nice. Good marketing. Good. Good show. All right, and obviously everyone knows where to find me because it's my channel. So if you are new, though, if you've just found me, why don't you hit that lovely subscribe button down there, and then you can stay finding me. And while you're doing that, let me know, or let us both know, let everyone know in the comments down below a character you want to see added from the base game as well. Because there are plenty we didn't name off. Boom Boom, Wamp, a T-Rex. Like, there's a whole bunch of animals there. If you really want to play as the moose, you tell me.
They did say that the cow NPC driver inspired others like camel and giraffe. Where were they?
Where are they? Giraffe would actually be very funny. Giraffe on the bike with a long neck. Alright. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.